Welcome back to my Sling TSi build log. This is a cowling of my Sling TSi and it's one of the most expensive composite parts on the airplane. It comes oversized from the factory and my job over the next couple of days is to trim it, sand it, fit it to the airframe with a small gap to the propeller flange and also drill pilot holes for the camloc fasteners. Sling's instruction says 5 mm for the gap between the propeller flange and the cowling, and Airmaster's prop instruction says 6 to 12 mm. So I split the difference and went with 6.5 mm. About 17 hours of work over 3 days went into this, building a custom jig, fitting both halves, marking, cutting fiberglass, and fluting the firewall stiffener, drilling pilot holes to the camlocs, and priming the stiffener strip. There's not a lot of margin, and every pass with the sander is one way. So step one is the rough fit. Both halves need to be on the firewall and clecos together so I can work on the front gap. This is technically a two-person job, but I did it solo. I placed the top half first, then I slid a sawhorse under the engine. That gives me a place to rest the bottom half so I can walk it into position gradually instead of trying to hold it up while bolting at the same time. Once both halves are on, I clecoed as many holes as possible. Not all of them. I'm not trying to for a final fit yet. Just rough alignment. The cowling stays put while I move on to the actual measurement work. This is the jig. It's the most important tool in the entire job, in my opinion. So I bought a stack of aluminum angle brackets from Amazon. Each one is about 4 millimeters thick. I grounded the coating off on a bench grinder, then I riveted them back to back in pairs. That gives me a stack that measures about 6.5 to 6.8 millimeters. So that's roughly where I want to be. Then I screwed 4 sets of these onto the propeller hub. So there are existing rivet holes on the flange. So I just bolt the brackets directly into those. So the vertical leg of each bracket sticks forward and acts as a hard stop. When I push the cowling forward until it touches those legs, I have a guaranteed 6.5 millimeter gap minimum. No measuring tape against the curved lip, no eyeballing. And for the two on top, I drilled through both brackets and the cowling and clecoed them all together. Now the top is mechanically locked. The cowling can't shift up or forward when I take it off and put it back on between sanding cycles. And after all that, I took a caliper around the flange and measured the actual gap, 6 to 7 everywhere. So the minor variation will tighten up once the aft is cut and the cowling settles into final position. So with the front gap locked in by the jig, and the next thing is to mark the aft cut, where the cowling has to be trimmed back to meet the firewall edge cleanly. So the official Sling build video shows two ways of doing this, and I went with the tape method. First layer of tape goes onto the airframe right up against the firewall edge. Then the cowling goes back on, and second layer of tape goes on the cowling, overlapping the first layer exactly. Then, when I pull the cowling off, the second tape layer comes with it, and now I have a perfect cut line transferred from the airframe to the cowling. Then I run a Sharpie along the tape edge so the marking stays after the tape comes off mid-cut. Honestly, the cutting is the easy part. Most of the work was the jig and the measuring. And here's how I did it. Diamond grinder with a diamond cutoff disc for the rough cut. Then 80 grit sanding block for the cleanup. The diamond disc takes material off fast, so I stayed well shy of the line and let the sanding block do the precision work. And the composite dust is really bad. I had to wear a respirator, eye protection, and just cover all my ears. Each is for 2 days if it gets on you. I ended up fitting the top half maybe 5 or 6 times during the process. Each fit, the jig stays bolted to the prop flange, and the front gap doesn't change between the cycles. I was only adjusting the rear edge. And when cutting, I try to control my grinder to sneak up onto the line before using the sanding block. So after cutting and sanding, the top half almost sat flush, but not quite. A few spots along the firewall edge were standing up noticeably. I expected some imperfection, but this was a little bit too much. The stiffening strip on the firewall was bowing outwards. Evan's official video covers this exact problem and recommends flute pliers to bend the stiffener back into shape. So I marked the high spots, took the cowling off, and worked the stiffener with flute pliers. Maybe another 30 minutes of fluting and a few more test fits. After that, the top half set almost fully flush with the airframe skin, and that was the end of day 2. This is the bottom half. Same process as the top, marked with the tape method, rough cut with diamond disc, smooth with the 80 grit block, fit, mark high spots, repeat. That process is identical. The top half rests on the airframe under its own weight. The bottom half doesn't. Every fit cycle, I have to balance it on the sawhorse under the engine, walk it into position, cleco it, and pull it off against this again to sand. Each round trip is maybe twice the work of the top half. By lunchtime on day 3, I almost got the bottom half cut and fitted. And then I took the caliper out one more time and walked the entire front gap, both half fully assembled, and the reading was between 5 to 7 millimeters all the way around. Sling spec is 5 and Airmaster spec is 6 to 12. I'm in the window for both, so the front gap is complete. Thing before I call the day 3, the firewall stiffener strip. The same one I just spent half an hour fluting flat. It's going to take wear every single time I pull the cowling on or off. So I primed and painted it. Masking is the whole job here. The engine is right there. The surrounding airframe skin is right there. So I pulled out the leftover film from when I painted the window and covered everything I didn't want overspray on. Then I used a 2-in-1 rattle-can prime and paint. It was pretty easy. After that, I pulled the film, clean engine, and protective seal. So 3 days, somewhere around 17 hours of work. Both halves of the cowling are cut and fitted and clecoed. The front gap is 5 to 7 millimeters all around, inside the spec for both Sling and Airmaster. The firewall stiffener had been fluted flat where it was bowing out. The pilot holes for the camlocs are drilled. The hero in this job is the spacing jig. It's not difficult to make and it will save me hours and give me a better result. So next up, I'm going to install the camlock receptacles themselves. I'll see you in the next one.